Daniel Suarez opens up about his departure from Trackhouse, saying that he wasn't as important as he used to be. And I got a new name in my power rankings this week. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Talking NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew. Today we got a couple drivers to talk about who had a lot of beef after Chicago street race, and Daniel Suarez had some interesting comments to say about his departure and the reasons why he left Trackhouse Racing. And then, of course, my newest edition of Power Rankings are yet to come. So let's talk about our first pair of drivers who are beefing, Bubba Wallace and Alex Bowman. So not only this weekend were Bubba and Bowman going head to head in the in-season challenge, their matchup, they are the 8 and 9 seeds, so a lot was on the line there. But 1 year ago in this same exact race, Bowman wrecked Bubba late in the race, and then after the checkered flag came out and all the drivers passed over the start finish line, Bubba just door slammed Bowman to the outside wall under or after the race on the pace laps, and Bowman was just coming back down to the front straightaway. And I think Bubba actually was fined $50,000 for some unsafe contact, unsafe conduct on the racetrack after the race had concluded. So the window nets were down, so it was just a really dangerous position overall for both drivers there. And that beef was reignited on lap 70. Bubba Wallace was spun down on Lakeshore Drive by Bowman, and Bowman ended up finishing 8th, while Bubba ended up finishing 28th with a broken toe link several laps down. Then immediately after the race concluded, Bowman got out of his car, made his interview with Marty Snyder, and he said, quote, "I thought we had squashed our beef, but clearly we've not. I don't know. I followed the 45 past him. He ran me into the inside wall in turn 8. Still felt like I passed him clean. Then he absolutely just demolished me into turn 12. I gave it back a little bit into 1, and then he demolished me again into 2. Ran me into the outside wall, and then I'm just a pinball between him and the outside wall at that point. So certainly not trying to crash anybody. I mean, I'd have to watch it back to be certain, but I felt like he did it to himself because I kept pinballing between him and the outside wall. So yeah, wasn't the intention." So there you go. Alex Bowman definitely feels like it wasn't his fault, and he tried to just race him cleanly. He telling his side of the story. And after watching the onboard footage, it's clear to me that Bowman tried to go the inside and then switch back to the outside, and Bubba thought he was clear. And that's a tough spot for the spotters. It's a spot where the spotters don't have a clear view, like either spotters, because on road courses you can have multiple spotters. You have the primary spotter, and then you have secondary, tertiary, how many ever spotters you need on road courses. And sometimes it varies, but here at the Chicago Street Race, you can have and probably do need multiple spotters. But that area, turn 1, turn 2, and into turn 3, down that little straightaway, down Lakeshore Drive, is a very tough spot for all the spotters to see. So you can't really place it on Bubba or the spotter. It's a tough spot. And then Bowman, it's just a racing incident. Two guys meeting in the wrong spot at the wrong time, miscommunication. So I really don't know who to place the blame on, and I really don't know if anyone else can place the blame on one specific person. I guess you can just place the blame on the track or how the spotter stand is set up. But either way, that's Bowman's side of the story. I should say the immediate post-race side of the story for Alex Bowman, because after he had a conversation with Bubba Wallace, who had just left the track's infield care center after an evaluation, said this, quote, "I wish I would have talked to him before all my interviews after the race, because I did all the interviews under the context that he thought I right reared him and just crashed him," Bowman told NASCAR.com. "And then I talked to him and he thought I was crossing him over and he was clear outside. Spotters can't see over there, and I was just outside of him and he moved up. And I hate to say he did it to himself, but he did it to himself." And that's what he was saying, like he thought I was crossing over. So yeah, I hate that I did a bunch of interviews like that. Like, what the hell, man? But yeah, I'm sure he's not happy that he got crashed, but at the same time, I'm between him and the fence. there's not so much you can do. So there's that from Alex Bowman, and that's kind of one of the same things I was saying. And again, it's hard to place the blame on one singular person here. You can't really place it on Bowman. You can place it on Bubba. You can place it on the spotters, but it's really tough to say who's at fault here. Again, narrow part of the track, not very good for the spotters. So just really tough for Bowman there. That's his side of the story after having a conversation with Bubba Wallace. But it does seem that Bubba was able to kind of let it go and not really carry on with it. So he said to NASCAR.com, quote, "I'm just proud of the effort. You know, late call on the 5 that got us spun. Hated that. Just when you think everything's going okay, but we were able to jump ship and switch up plans, put us right back in the race. So, man, I was passing cars, having fun, showing that we were keep improving and keep building confidence. We'll be fine. So, hate to see it and end that way. It was fun. Fun with the 48, no love lost, all good." There you go. So, Bubba, again, moving on. It's just one incident. Yeah, it's a repeat offender with Bowman, but I Bubba seems to have moved on. And I remember Bubba back in 2022 at Las Vegas got stuffed in the outside wall by Larson off of turn 4 and chased Larson down the front straightaway and right reared him and ended up getting Bubba suspended. So it's clear to me that Bubba has kind of moved away from that kind of style and now is able to kind of turn the other cheek. So really good to see that from Bubba. And then Bowman said afterwards as well, quote, "Yeah, I feel better now, understanding what happened there. Yeah, lots of up and downs, and it was fine, a fight. It's a standard 48 day. We fought hard and glad it worked out there in the end." End quote. So yeah, both Bubba and Bowman able to kind of cool their emotions and just leave it be and leave it at that. So there's a little bit of the beef, or one of the two drivers that beefed during the Chicago street race. And I hate to say it, it seems to me that one of them has not really moved on from it since the race. And there's still a lot of time, but so far it hasn't looked like one of these next two drivers has not really moved on. The other two drivers I'm referring to are Joey Logano and Ross Chastain. So, quick refresher, Ross Chastain was spun from contact with Kyle Larson and backed into the turn 1 tire barrier. And immediately after he got back refired and got back rolling, the first car he saw in front of him was a 22. And so he immediately assumed that Joey Logano had spun him entering turn 1. So he bumped Logano entering turn 2, sending Logano and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. both spinning into turn 2. And Logano on the radio said this, quote, "What the is his problem, man? Ross better get the freaking information right before he goes and wrecks somebody. There's 6 cars behind me wrecking into me, and he destroys me from our 4 car lengths back. That's crap." Now, to be fair, both drivers ended up having solid finishes at the end of the race. Chastain went on to finish 10th and Logano 11th, but Logano exited his car and confronted Ross Chastain after the race, and it had a heated discussion before they both kind of separated and parted ways for the rest of the night. Now, after that heated discussion, Logano went on to have an interview and said this, quote, "He admitted he wrecked me on purpose. He admitted it, which means he should get fined if he admittedly wrecked someone on purpose. That's not okay. It's just typical Ross. He just sees red and does dumb stuff. That's all. And that's twice this year. On road courses, at the end of these things, I've been cost by Ross. Just over it." Ross Chastain did not give any comments to the media after the race. I don't know why. I didn't really watch much of the post race because I had to go on to other business. I had to get the previous episode out, so go check that out if you're interested in that. And Logano mentioned that this is the second time that these two have had a run in. The first one came at Circuit of the Americas in March, which when Chastain made contact with AJ Allmendinger into turn 1, that forced Logano wide while they were battling inside the top 10. Chastain finished 12th and Logano finished 24th. And then 4 weeks later at Martinsville, Chastain made contact with Chase Briscoe that set Briscoe into Logano and then spun Logano from 6th place. And after that event, Logano said, quote, "He just races like a jackass every week, and I keep paying the price. I'm sick of paying the price." And then Chastain responded later on Sunday that he was disappointed and confused by Joey Logano's comments, and Chastain has made no more comments after that. So I'm a little surprised by that. It's clear to me that Joey Logano knows exactly what Ross Chastain has done, and he's not happy about it, and he should be for good reason, because Logano can't help it if he's getting pile driven into by his teammate Austin Cindric or Kyle Larson, and he's getting blamed for another driver's mishap. And I get that he's frustrated with that, but he really shouldn't be getting that mad at Chastain, and they both need to come to a better understanding of each other, because Chastain didn't know that Logano didn't spin him, and Logano, I don't think he clearly knows that yet. So I'm hoping both drivers can get this beef settled heading into Sonoma, because I'd hate to see this kind of rivalry or beef carry over into more races, because at this point, it's just really, really dumb and really, really stupid, and it shouldn't really need to carry on much longer. So I hope this gets resolved soon, but those are the two pairs of drivers that had a little bit of beef after Chicago's street race, and it's clear to me that one of those pairs, Bubba and Bowman, have put their issues aside, while Logano and Chastain have not quite yet. Now moving on to Daniel Suarez, who opened up on Saturday before the Chicago street race. He said that the official news that he would be departing from Trackhouse brought a sense of relief over him, and it made him take a little bit of a weight off his shoulders. So he said, quote, "It was a lot of relief for me because I have known for several months that was going to happen," he said on Saturday. "It's just like everything in life. Things change, people change, the company changes, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There just wasn't a love anymore. There are no hard feelings at all." Now, when Daniel says that, I get the feeling that he too wasn't feeling like he didn't like the situation there, and there was some other stuff that were kind of making him feel that way. And it's clear that Justin Marks, owner of Trackhouse, and some of the other officials at Trackhouse weren't entirely satisfied with Daniel Suarez's production on track. But it does give me a little bit of reassurance knowing that there isn't any beef between the two, and they clearly got a lot of respect for each other. So that's really good to see. And again, Trackhouse was really the next big home for Trackhouse. He really was the foundation for this team back in 2021. And when they bought a second charter from Chip Ganassi Racing in 2021 and brought Ross Chastain in, they really took off, and Suarez was the foundation that started it all. Suarez went on to say, quote, "The last 6 to 8 months have been very difficult for me. I think this was just going to happen. I wasn't very happy anymore, and I wasn't the only one. It was just a matter of time to end this chapter. I love this 99 team. The 99 team is one of the best teams that I've ever had, and I'm going to miss this group so much. That team is so special to me, but it's a cycle." Many people have praised Daniel Suarez for being so honest and kind of upfront and not really being ominous about some of his thoughts about the team. And he's called out Trackhouse before, and it's clear to me that he doesn't have anything against Trackhouse, and he's very open about that. And I too am coming to appreciate this about Daniel Suarez, even though maybe the on-track performance isn't exactly what we expect. Still good to see this kind of personality from a NASCAR Cup Series driver, and you don't get to see that very often in most drivers. So that's really cool to see there. Now, Daniel did go on to say some more things on the reasons why maybe he felt kind of unhappy with the situation at Trackhouse. So I'll read this here. Quote, "There have been many situations in the last 8 to 10 months that I didn't feel like I used to feel with different situations. Sometimes when you don't have that feel, there's no chemistry anymore. It's like being in a relationship, but just living together because you bought a house together. It doesn't feel good anymore, and I see it both ways. When you're fighting with the best of the best, you have to have everything clicking in the right direction. Unfortunately, I have felt that a few things are missing for the last several months. Since my new crew chief, who is Matt Swiderski, came to Trackhouse, he told me a lot of things that I didn't think were right within the organization, and a lot of things that needed to change. I've been very vocal that we need to adjust this. We need to adjust that I'm not the only one seeing it. More people are seeing it. Not a lot of things happen. Everything happens so slowly. I don't think that's the only reason. I think there are more things, but lately there have been things that made me feel that I'm not as important." That's definitely a tough feeling for Daniel Suarez because, in my opinion, no disrespect to Matt Swiderski, but I don't think he's the best crew chief for Daniel Suarez. And I honestly think that Travis Mack, his former crew chief, who ended up going over to Calling and now is with Legacy Motor Club and is succeeding a lot more with Legacy Motor Club. And it's definitely very frustrating to see that if I were Daniel Suarez. Now, Daniel Suarez is confident that he will be racing in the Cup Series. He didn't specify if he thinks that he'll be racing full-time, and in my opinion, I would be shocked if there is another ride open for Daniel Suarez to be running full time. I think that he'll definitely be running in a part time capacity, but I see more of a possibility that he'll be running full time in the Xfinity Series, and I am hoping that he is going to be running with Junior Motorsports because we saw what he did at Mexico City, which was utterly incredible. But maybe Daniel Suarez maybe wants to go on the route that Corey LaJoie is going with limited Cup Series starts, a part time schedule, but I guess Corey LaJoie did ultimately bend and have to take a part-time schedule with Spire in the Truck Series, but it'd be really cool to see Daniel Suarez able to run in the Cup Series in 2026, but hopefully we'll see him in a competitive ride going forward. Now it's time for the final segment we got today, Power Rankings, where I rank the 10 fastest NASCAR drivers and teams in the Cup Series, so let's go ahead and get straight into it. Some quick honorable mentions here. Ryan Preece had a pretty solid run going at Chicago. Finished inside the top 10, though. Just wasn't quite enough. And it's not really because he raced poorly. It's more so because I'm liking what the other drivers have going instead of Ryan Preece. So, honorable mention for Ryan Preece. Shane Van Gisbergen as well gets an honorable mention because he's won 2 of the last road course races, and he had a solid run going in Atlanta before he got caught up in a wreck. So Shane Van Gisbergen is also as well an honorable mention. And then Bubba Wallace. We just talked about the incident with Alex Bowman, and I think if he didn't have that incident, Bubba Wallace would have finished at least inside the top 10. So honorable mentions. Welcome to the top 10, Ty Gibbs. Most recent finishes going all the way back to Michigan, 3rd, 11th, 14th, 14th, and 2nd. And we have another road course coming up with Sonoma. So, I mean, Ty Gibbs is on a hot streak. He's up to, in the standings, 19th in the driver's points, and he's 21st in the playoff points. So, realistically, if Ty Gibbs has a couple more races like this, he can point his way into the playoffs. And we've seen crazier things before. He is still searching for that first career win, but at this point, we're expecting Ty Gibbs to have races like this. So I'm liking what Ty Gibbs is doing. He gets his first appearance in the top 10 at number 10. But at number 9, Alex Bowman once again. Apart from that on-track incident with Bubba Wallace, he finished 8th at the Chicago Street Race, 3rd at Atlanta en route to helping his teammate Chase Elliott get his first win, 11th at Pocono, 4th at Mexico City. So Alex Bowman has been running really, really well after a couple rough stretches, but maybe we're finally starting to see that consistency from Alex Bowman. Right now in the playoff standings, he's 39 points above the cut line. Not entirely safe, but it's a good, comfortable position, and hopefully Bowman can finally secure that first win, hopefully soon, because he does really need it. And he also does need to rack up more stage wins going forward at the next couple races, because he has 0 stage wins, 0 playoff points. So Bowman does need to pick it up if he does want to make his spot in the playoffs official. But moving on to number 8. Ryan Blaney does move down a spot to number 8. And again, it's kind of the same situation as Ryan Preece. It's not really because he ran poorly. It's more so because the guy who took his previous spot ran just a bit better. Ryan Blaney finished 12th at the Chicago Street Race, had maybe a good run going at Atlanta before getting involved in the big one. Finished 3rd at Pocono, 14th at Mexico City as well. So maybe Ryan Blaney is starting to figure it out on the road courses because he also won a stage at Chicago. And I'm not really excited though for what's to come at Sonoma, but maybe we'll see Ryan Blaney get another stage win or another win possibly at Sonoma. So Ryan Blaney at 8. At number 7, Tyler Reddick. He finally has broken out of that slumber, I believe. He got a stage win at Atlanta and then finished 3rd at Chicago. So, I mean, maybe we're seeing Tyler Reddick start to wake up. And another road course coming up next week at Sonoma. Maybe we'll see. Maybe Tyler Reddick and all of 2311 Racing is starting to wake up because Bubba Wallace, his teammate, was an honorable mention and had really good speed. So maybe we're starting to see the gears start to shift for Tyler Reddick and 2311 Racing. So moving on to number 6. Christopher Bell does move down 2 spots. Had a really rough finish at Chicago. Finished 24th. And it was all really because he made a mistake. He got spun and finished 30th at Atlanta, 17th at Pocono. And going back to his last best finish was at 2nd at Mexico City. But that was only 3 races ago. So I do have to move Bell down, and hopefully he can start to get that race winning pace that we saw early in the year. And I've been saying it every single week. And Sonoma, he hasn't done great at Sonoma, so I'm not entirely enthusiastic about Bell going into Sonoma, but maybe he could surprise me. But Bell is going to remain at 6. At number 5, Chris Buescher moves up a spot. Had a good run going at Chicago before he had an early mechanical issue with some engine issues. Still was able to finish 18th despite those engine issues. So he does move up a spot, and we're heading to another road course at Sonoma, and he's historically been really good on road courses. He won Watkins Glen last year, and then at Autodromos Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City, he finished in the top 10. So, I mean, there's not a lot to love about Chris Buescher. I mean, there is a lot to love about Chris Buescher heading into these next couple races. And this is around the time we saw Chris Buescher go on that 3-win tear in 2023. He won Richmond, he won Daytona. So I'm liking a lot of what Chris Buescher is doing. Recent finishes of 9th, 4th, 10th, and 2nd, and then 14th at Nashville. So Chris Buescher, he's riding a wave of momentum. Hopefully this semi-par, this mid-finish at Chicago doesn't disrupt that momentum, but he'll move up into 5th. At number 4, Kyle Larson moves back up a spot. Had a solid race at Mexico City. It wasn't anything crazy, and he's historically been a pretty good road course racer. Finished 13th, finished 17th at Atlanta, 7th at Pocono, and then 5th back at Michigan. So Larson's been good. He just hasn't been that elite Larson we've seen ever since the Coca-Cola 600 where he wrecked. We haven't seen that elite Larson, but Sonoma, he won here last year. Maybe this is the place where Kyle Larson gets back on track. He's still 3rd in the regular season point standings, and he's only 19 points behind William Byron now, and he's only a couple points behind his teammate Chase Elliott for 2nd. So Larson, maybe he will find the momentum he needs to get that regular season points championship that he probably should have gotten it last year, but you never know. But Larson at 4. At number 3, Chase Elliott does move down a spot. Still, Mr. Consistency is Chase Elliott. Finished 16th. He did unfortunately get eliminated from the bracket. Scratch that, he did finish 16th. I thought he finished 17th, but John Nemechek finished 15th, so he is unfortunately eliminated. But he won Atlanta last week, finished 5th at Pocono, finished on the podium at Mexico City, and he's just the king of consistency at this point. And he's 2nd in the driver standings, only 13 points out of being the regular season points leader. So Chase Elliott right now, he's super consistent, and we're heading to Sonoma, and he's historically been pretty good there. So I'm liking Chase Elliott heading into Sonoma. I do have to bump him down a spot because there's another guy that leapfrogged all the way up into 1st that is just better. Because William Byron has gone back down to number 2. Had a transmission issue at Chicago, had to start from the rear of the field, and it wasn't a good day for William Byron. And today that he will wish to forget, finished back of the pack at Atlanta after getting wrecked, and then finished 27th at Pocono, and his last best finish was back at Mexico City where he finished 9th. So William Byron has significantly cooled off, and I was hoping that maybe he wouldn't fall into the same trap of hot early in the year, but kind of cools off in the summer months. But there's still a lot of summer left, so maybe William Byron can get hot once again, but he'll be a number 2. Because Denny Hamlin is in number 1 spot now. Finished 4th at Chicago after starting in the rear of the field. Didn't make a qualifying lap after on the opening lap of practice his engine blew out and he spun. So like, how cool is that? Denny Hamlin starts at the back, finishes in the top 5, and then finished 2nd at Pocono behind his teammate Chase Briscoe. 1 at Michigan, and he did miss Mexico City, but who cares? It's Denny Hamlin. He has been running so good recently. He's been getting hot. He is only 43 points behind William Byron and all the Hendrick cars for the regular season points lead. If Denny Hamlin continues to have more good runs like this, he's going to be another contender for that regular season points championship lead and get those 5 extra bonus points that you get heading into the playoffs. But there you go. There is my top 10. Let me know in the comments who you would have ranked higher, if there's someone on the list that I should have taken off. If there's someone not on the list like Bubba, SVG, or Ryan Priest that should be on there instead of someone else, let me know down in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next episode. go check out all the other episodes of Talking NASCAR available on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Go check out Talking Sports that I host alongside my friend Miles Shield. He's been a guest on this show before, so go check out that episode as well. It's also available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Go check out the YouTube channel because it may not be as cool, but it's on YouTube. It's cool. It's cool. So that's it for me. I'll see you in the next episode, and I'll see you then. Bye.